It's the moment you've all been waiting for. Welcome to the Bionicle Inspiration Series. Today it's episode 270. That's such a long period of time that we've been doing this show, but every 10th episode we do a fan submit a MOCs episode. So if you want to submit your own MOCs to the show, you can submit them through the submission email that's currently on your screen. And we're going to focus on 8 fan submit a MOCs in this episode today of the Bionicle Inspiration Series, where we spotlight MOCs from across the community to give you some inspiration for your own future builds. So let's get stuck into it and begin with the very first fan submitted a MOC, and this is Perret, the MOC's name is Perret, and it's built by Toa Totax. So a nice little Matoran MOC here, and a digital MOC, which, always fun to play in the digital realm versus in reality, where you may not have as many pieces. Love seeing a good custom mask here. It looks like a sort of variation on Kopaka's mask of sorts. It looks really cool, and I picked up a few custom masks at Brick Fair earlier this year, and just looking at them is cool. I need to start building with them, but yeah, just, because we don't have very many new sets to play with, masks of... I don't know about you, but masks have always been something for me that can be a big inspiration point for a MOC, because it's the facial features. It's the thing you often recognize with most people. So, hey, when you're building a humanoid character, sometimes that the look of that face can really grab you there. So playing with some custom masks might be a great way to get those creative juices flowing. So maybe it's worth investing in some if you can, if you want to. Something about this MOC that I like is because it is digital, it appears they've added some sort of like digital texture to the pieces here. It kind of looks like some sort of like dirt or grit or just some kind of, unique kind of worn look over the top of this CCBS armor here. I kind of really like that. There's something about it that is just more unique. I don't know. And in that sense, it can kind of set it apart from your typical average everyday MOC. So I like that. And certainly something you can play around with on digital MOCs. But I guess if you really wanted to, you could photograph MOCs that exist in the physical world and go on Photoshop and put some edits in and stuff like that. Just depends how good you are with being able to do that there. But it's a unique idea. I do love these wrist gauntlet gun things as well. The fact that they're on a sort of slight angle there too is quite nice. Wrist weapons or wrist guns or any kind of weapon on your wrist is always pretty cool. So if you're a little stuck for where to put a weapon, maybe on the arms there is a good idea. But I adore this MOC, a fun little Matoran here. Let's move over to the next fan submitted MOC. It's by Ezreal, and this is Bloody Red Riding Hood. This was actually made for the preliminary round of the Spare Parts Community MOC League, which I did a video about talking about that, so that's well underway, which is very exciting. So, Little Red Riding Hood here, but a little bit more grown up and a little bit more keen to kill, which is certainly a unique and fun take on the character. I really like that there. So yeah, a nice, unique twist in that regard, but some other details that I enjoy. Obviously the hood design, the fact that it sort of goes over the top of the eyes and kind of casts a little bit of a shadow over the face. It's a really nice design. And kind of pairing it with the Captain Phasma cape there as well. It's cool to see a sort of hood of sorts, which isn't really something you see very often with your Bionicle characters, but I don't know, hoods can certainly provide a lot of unique opportunities for any kind of character design, especially if it kind of covers the face in that sense, can make them look a little bit more mysterious, or I guess in this case, a little bit more sort of evil, some of the facial features are being hidden. It looks like some sort of assassin almost. So yeah, I don't know. So it's a clever idea. So maybe play around with some hood designs if you can, whether that's, more sort of system brick built versions of a hood like this, or if you want to maybe experiment with, cloth pieces and stuff like that. Maybe you can kind of wrap it around the head in some fashion. So love the idea of building a hood there. I love some of the little accessories here, whether it's just a little chain on the sort of like belt there, or the little necklace using one of the Lord of the Rings rings and a piece of string there. They're just kind of fun, little tiny stuff that I think goes a long way and just kind of spices up the MOC in a cool way. I love her little basket here and the fact that there's all sorts of organs and eyes and bones and blood and stuff in there. That's a very fun little detail and certainly seems fitting, especially because, there's the Chima, is it Ferrex, I believe is the name of the set, or am I thinking of Andor? I don't know. The wolf character from Chima there, using that as a sort of decapitated wolf head. That's a clever use of that piece because, well, it certainly looks like a wolf head. It's a little bit difficult to use it in other circumstances, so it makes sense to see it there being used as a decapitated wolf head. So I love the look of that. So yeah, a very dynamic, very fun character, and certainly a cool idea to look towards fairy tales and sort of update the characters in some unique and creative ways. Really cool. I did just look up the wolf character's name. I was nowhere near it. It's Warriors, not Ferrix. So yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of Star Wars, as I often do. So let's move over to the next mock now. This is a fantastic one by Empathic Rambo. He's been commenting on a lot of my videos, so I definitely wanted to feature him here because he's been watching a lot and leaving a lot of very nice comments on my videos, which I very much appreciate. And he seems like a builder that's very receptive to learning a lot of things, very excited to learn more about mocking, which is always an exciting place to be if you're looking to grow, to just be open to every sort of, you know, creative idea or interpretation there. So I appreciate that, good sir. Keep up the good work. Anyway, so this is his mock called Relic, which is a Dark Hunter from you know, his sort of story in this sense here. So some really fun little details on this mock here. I love the sort of foot design here, using some of these mask pieces here to form a sort of like, I don't know, I kind of see it as some sort of like combat boot or something like that. It's just a nice sturdy looking design, and you know, we were talking about masks earlier on. Sure, you can use them on faces, but why not here use them as something for like a foot design? I've often seen masks being used as like a shoulder design as well, so masks can be used on all sorts of different places on a Bionicle, not just the head design, and I think this is a nice example of how cool that can look. It's also interesting too because like there's kind of the marbled effect on this mask. The bottom bit there is that dark blue, but the top is a bit more silver. It kind of looks like he's maybe got like dirt or something on the shoes, or maybe they're a bit rough because, I don't know, he's worn them for a bit, so they're sort of wearing in some regard. It's kind of fun, you know, using that discoloration there, or a natural discoloration. That's how the piece was, you know, made when it came out. But using it to your advantage there and making it look like dirt or something, it's clever. I like that. I enjoy the mask on the head as well. The fact that it is the Zesk mask from one of the Glatorian sets there, but it is sort of flipped on its side there. You know, yes, a mask can look cool the way it was intended, but sometimes if you rotate it and put it in some different directions and things like that, it can look even cooler and kind of breathe new life into the mask there. So definitely worth looking into doing that with some of your Bionicle masks, and who knows what sort of unique designs you could come up with there. I like this inclusion of this sort of like green, I don't know, like leaf or something on the shoulder there, because it kind of ties in with one of the other cool parts of this mock, which is the little diorama that he has with him here. I love the idea of building little dioramas like this for your characters, whether it's a little bit bigger than normal. You know, a lot of the times when we see little stands or vignettes or something that complements a Bionicle mock, it's often quite small and just sort of serves as like a little base of sorts. But it's nice to see an almost sort of like larger diorama to go with this character, which is cool, you know. A lot of nice little kind of like foliage and stuff here. It's really cool seeing some of those Liwa masks being used as, you know, leaves or bushes or something. It works surprisingly well. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see, and certainly something I'd like to see more of from the community is just sort of, you know, system or Bionicle system hybrid sort of dioramas like this to go with their characters, because it's a really clever idea and it just works well, and I'm surprised more people don't do it, you know? It's pretty cool. So love your work, good sir. Keep up the good work. Keep building. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing good. Let's move over to the next one here. This is by Max Howell, and this is Green Recluse. I enjoy the goofiness of this mock. When I first saw it, the kind of like white around its sort of like facial area kind of looked like a beard of sorts, a little bit like Santa Claus, which I guess is somewhat topical at the moment. I like that. It's fun. I don't know. It could just be he's just got like white around there, or it's like tusks or something. But I'm going to pretend it's a beard because that makes me happy, and I like that. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love also the fact that it's, I don't know, the eyes make me think of snails, and even the fact he's kind of got like a shell on his back there. It looks like some sort of alien snail, and you imagine maybe it moves a little slow, so I like the fact that he has like a jetpack on his back as well. And I think in general, if you're going to build any animal and you put a jetpack on its back, you're doing a good job. So I very much enjoy that. It's a bit of fun. I love the sort of like leg design here, using some of these weird tail pieces, which come in a variety of different sets. You don't really get some of these bigger ones these days. Those are a little bit older. Specifically, some of these came in sand green on some of the really old Lego dinosaur sets. I remember getting some of these as a kid. They were certainly unique sets for the time, and they came with some pretty cool colors, like your sand greens, your sand blues as well. But yeah, pretty cool pieces, and great to see them, I don't know, just forming this really, almost sort of like Dr. Seuss or some sort of like, I don't know, it almost looks like a kid's drawing or something, just like weird squiggly legs or something like that. It's so otherworldly and unique. It's interesting because it's only using sort of like 2 or 3 different pieces here, but it's such a unique design. So the beautiful simplicity of this I really enjoy. Very cool. On to the next mock now. This is by Remo Howman, and this is Makuta Toruka. Really enjoyed the silhouette of this guy here. There's something so sinister and evil about it, you know, using some of these cricket pieces here for the head and the blade, the really cool sort of like back pointing kind of like shoulder or sort of wrist blade here. Really, really cool. Something very sinister and awesome about that there. It just looks so cool. So yeah, this guy's kind of just dripping evil. He looks fantastic. I love also the shoulder pads. There's a good amount of system being used there, but also the choice to use some of those like tooth pieces as well. It kind of continues the aesthetic that this mock has of very sort of like sharp angles and kind of a lot of like different claws and that sort of almost like bony aesthetic as well, which certainly makes sense if you're building something a little bit more evil and sinister like a Makuta in this regard here. So some very nice texture play there. But there's also a lot of kind of nice like smoothness to this mock as well, especially with the use of some of these like tire pieces on like the upper legs, but we can also see that on like the torso and the arms as well. It's interesting. I like this juxtaposition of, you know, some of the more like white armored areas or some of that kind of like milky marbled areas like the face and the blade and stuff like that have that bony sharp aesthetic, but the rest is a little bit more smooth. You know, it kind of reminds me of other depictions of villains that can be a little bit more I don't know, like charismatic and you know, smooth talking and stuff like that. So I know the difference between the textures of the 2 areas of this mock is very nice. I love too the fact he's got like, I guess, like little trophies on the side of his sort of waist there, of, you know, previous kills or something like that. It's a fun detail. I like stuff like that. So yeah, a fantastic looking mock here. Very, very good. Let's move over to a mock by Shark Z, and this is Metal Behemoth. Some really cool things here, like I enjoy how the hand design has been done using some of these Shadow Avamatoran like kind of feet pieces, but using them for claws instead works well, makes sense. And I enjoy some of the kind of like layering and stuff on the torso, specifically seeing some of those Exoforce robot arm pieces that we've seen as like finger designs and all sorts of stuff. It's a piece that appears very often on this show, but using them to sort of form this, I don't know, interesting kind of like pattern on the torso there just looks cool. And great to see that Toxic Reaper mask being used. I thoroughly enjoy that mask, and I don't see enough mocks that use it, so that's always cool. There's a couple shots here of this mock unarmored, so it's always interesting to see the sort of like frame behind this build, and you know, studying frames can certainly be helpful, because if you get that frame and armor it up in a slightly different way, you've got yourself a mock, you know, so building a good solid frame is always a nice sort of like jumping on point or a nice starting point for any kind of mock. But I like specifically how this has been built here, because we can see that he's used one of these sort of like Matoran torso pieces here, and then kind of built off of it, and it allows for a lot of really nice connection points on the torso where he's able to add in a lot of armor and different things like that, you know, so having some of those Hero Factory bone pieces there sort of you know, kind of towards like the pecs sort of area of the torso there, allows you to kind of build off of it in that regard. And great idea to use the torso for that, because there's just a lot of connection points that you can branch off of in that regard. So a smart idea to build a kind of customized torso around a pre-existing prefab torso in that regard. So a good solid frame there that you have beefed up very nicely. So nice work, good sir. On to the next mock. This is Mucus Drizzle, and he has built a mock called Formicid Forager. I love the little apple that this guy has here. Very simple design, using one of those weird fandangled like big grass sort of like blade pieces in lime, and then using one of the like ultra build sort of like shoulder pad pieces there. It works for a perfect apple. Looks really cool. The general concept of this character is really fun. An ant that's sort of built like a mech suit for himself so that he can you know, get some of those hard to reach food items and stuff like that. That's just fun and clever. I really enjoy that. Some little part usages that I enjoy specifically on the ant is the use of some of these whip pieces here for the sort of like antenna things. That's just a fun design. It works really well. Very simple, just, you know, 1 or 2 different pieces there, but hey, it works. And then the different limbs here using some of these Exoforce robot arm pieces that we were talking about on the previous mock there, but sort of flipping them in this regard, and then using this sort of like clip part there as little kind of like pincers or little hands of sorts there. Just really, really clever, and in general a really awesome way of designing an ant there of sorts. I love the inclusion of a little bit of yellow on this mech robot suit here. There's something about it that gives it this more sort of industrial vibe and makes it look a little bit less like he's got robotic limbs, and it's more like he's sort of put on a suit. I don't know, the inclusion of yellow makes me think of, like, you know, caution signs and stuff like that, and it seems like something that some health and safety company would put on the suit so that I don't know, the yellow really stands out, so there's not going to be any work accidents or something like that, you know. So the pop of yellow there is very fitting and works very well, I think. I really do enjoy that. So an awesome mock there, but let's move over to the one I'm sure you were all waiting for. It's Galactus the Starved by MC Lego Boy! Exclamation mark, a very important part of his name. So, I love this. Obviously, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I thoroughly enjoy this. But hey, what a clever idea to use some of these Star Wars planet pieces. I believe this is specifically Alderaan in this regard, which is like fitting, by the way, because yes, it looks a bit like Earth, which fits in with comics and stuff like that. But also, you know, a big scary thing that destroys planets, both the Death Star blowing it up and now Galactus about to eat it. Alderaan just can't catch a break, you know, always going to get blown up in some regard or destroyed in some regard. Poor Alderaan. Anyway, a great idea to use that specific planet piece to sort of establish the scale of this character, because obviously Galactus is huge, he eats planets, he's massive, so a very clever way of sort of establishing that scale without having to actually build a massive Galactus mock. Yeah, love seeing mocks that play with scale in this regard. It's really, really cool. I love the inclusion of some of these trans purple like ribcage pieces that came in a variety of different G2 Bionicle sets. They work surprisingly well at being able to convey certain body parts on Galactus here, specifically the sort of like helmet. It's not exactly a direct match to the source material, but it still kind of gets the job done and matches some of the unique sort of like, you know, different patterns and things in his helmet there. So it gets the job done. It works well. I also enjoy how MC Lego Boys kind of sort of made a mouth design here for Galactus, using some of these rounded, you know, 2x2 system plate pieces here, which naturally have that sort of like little lip where you kind of can connect studs onto it there. And you can see it here. It's that little sort of like almost black, like sort of square on the face there. And it kind of looks like a little tiny itty bitty mouth for Galactus there. It looks like he's a little bit shocked or something. So it's kind of a clever way of doing the face design there. I enjoy that. So yeah, just a very striking, fitting mock and a great way of kind of playing with scale here. And just nice to see any kind of Galactus mock. Galactus he's one of those Marvel characters I really, really enjoy. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorites, but he's certainly up there. I really like him. So yeah, great to see him built and reimagined in Lego form. Really, really cool. I hope you enjoyed this slightly longer episode of the Bionicle Inspiration series today. If you want to submit your mocks, I said how you can do so at the start of the episode, and there's various videos on the channel that walk you through all your questions, if you may have any, on how to submit. Additionally, there's links in the description to most of the mocks that you saw in today's episode. Not every fan-submitted mock has social media that you can follow or look at, but be sure to take a look at the mocks that do have links and see some of the other things that these builders have built today. There's also links to my own stuff in the social media links below if you want to check those out. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you very much enjoyed. Happy building, and bye for now.